Has anybody else ever had to make their bed with two cats lying on the bed and totally refusing to move? No matter how much you pull the duvet out from underneath them or flop the duvet over their heads, they're not moving. It's a you thing, it's your problem. You're going to have to just find a way of doing it. It's really nice actually, because today I received a nice dress in the post from Zara. I had ordered it. Let me put the light on. It's actually forest green. Do you see that? Forest green. Beautiful, simple lines. My favourite 3/4 length sleeves. Midi dress, kind of pencil skirt bottom type thing. And I thought wearing this dress with these green shoes would be a real go-to outfit should I ever need to go anywhere. A dinner date, a party, maybe a fancy afternoon tea. But then also you could wear them with just plain kind of work shoes like this and a long line cardigan over the top, and you've got a really nice outfit. I've been really loving toppers over these last few months. It's such a funny thing, you know, as a hair wearer, and I am a full-time hair wearer now, believe it or not. Your journey is very distinct. When you first start, probably your first concern is you want something that looks really natural. And then once you've established that the hair you've got looks natural, then the next step is, I wonder what I would look like in a different style, a different colour. I mean, let's face it, ordering hair online in any colour, any length, and changing between them can become very addictive for a new hair wearer. That's how I experienced it. I started ordering the crop styles, the bobs. I tried my hand at blondes, which I really liked. And incidentally, I know I've been reviewing quite a lot of brunettes recently, but the reason mainly is because there haven't been as many colour options with rooting as there was when I was looking at your conventional, you know, big brand medical grade wigs that we all know and love, such as John Renault and Gabor, Noriko, that sort of thing. There's different types of wearing hair. You know, you can approach it in so many different ways. Do you find? Now look, you know, you can go for your main, your branded styles that I just described, but there are sort of more independent suppliers, and then you've got your Chinese companies, and my guess is there are many of them. There's the retail companies, and there's also the wholesale companies. These are types of hair retailers that I literally know nothing about, and what I mean is that the style of hair piece, the construction of that wig cap, they tend to be real hair wigs. I was looking at this website this morning. They had full cap wigs, they had toppers with clip-in sort of construction with the silk top. Then they had these things called hair systems. It's kind of a silicone kind of skull cap. Instead of putting the hair into the mesh cap, the lace cap, and tying it on, they were kind of injecting it through so that there were no knots and there was no gridded lace cap. It was actually a silicone cap, and it had the look of hair just growing out of skin. Over the last few years of being a hair wearer, I've been discovering of late more and more different types of companies now that are, you know, that are showing us on social media different ways of doing that cap construction and making their product look amazingly natural. Amazingly natural. Now I'm just going to put on probably the world's ugliest reading glasses. These are not really prescription, I just picked them up. But more and more recently I found that I need to wear glasses for close work and reading. And that's kind of weird, because it's not something that I've had to do much of. Now I'm going to put on this topper. I found toppers to be the most convenient and the most natural way of adding hair to my head. I love the way that you can lift the back of your hair or the sides here, and it truly blends in. The topper hair simply blends in with whatever hair you've got, so long as you have actually got hair. And a lot of people find that their hair loss pattern tends to be diffuse over the top of their head with a little bit more hair around the sides, and it is perfect, utterly perfect for toppers. I believe it's a 16-inch. I haven't worn it for ages. The curl that you put into a topper does kind of fall out after a while, just like it would with natural hair really, and this is what I'm left with. This is just a leftover from when I curled it before, and often I don't particularly want a style that's freshly curled. In fact, let's see how it straightens. This is real Remy human hair. It has a lace top with a lace front. I really like the way that you can straighten or curl a piece, because people will get used to seeing you with hair that looks slightly different on different days, and that's how people's hair really is. I want to tell you that Stephen and I were invited to a couple's house for the weekend. This would have kind of been a bit worrying for me before, and I have to be completely honest with you, I would have been concerned at my presentation, because you followed me on this journey and I have been very transparent with what my hair loss actually looks like now. It has been gradually getting worse, and in a way I'm pleased to say that I feel quite, not that I need to be by the way, but I feel quite justified at wearing hair. I think that if I was to go out and about without it and spoke to people about it, they would very readily understand as to why I was choosing to wear hair. And that makes me feel like I'm justified, like I'm not just doing it for vanity reasons. I don't think that my thinking is right on that, because I think that a woman should wear hair if she wants to for aesthetic reasons, like changing the length, adding more volume, or indeed changing the colour of her hair without actually having to dye her hair. These are all valid, totally valid reasons for wearing hair, by the way. Now I'm talking subjectively, I'm talking from my insecurity because I have consistently found that there is a stigma. Okay, what do you think? More straight. Just a different look. This stool squeaks so much, you must be thinking, what on earth is happening? Well, that's what's happening. I like this. I like the way it is. And I like it with this nice simple shirt dress. It's a midi dress, long sleeve, very simple. It's a very overcast day today, by the way. It looks like it's evening, but it's not. It's the middle of the day. I've got these really nice clouds with raindrops on them. I'm still wearing a lot of stuff that I bought in 2020 because it was a time of lockdown where I was hanging around the house a lot. We did the garden, we grew vegetables, we did a lot of reading, a lot of cooking, but also a lot of online shopping. And I've got a lot of stuff that I bought then. I think these earrings may very well go with that lovely forest green dress too. And wouldn't this hair be very classic with it, with the shoes that I showed you? You hear that sound? That sound is Stephen getting on with redecorating the kitchen. It's going nicely. I really like, and I'm looking forward to, leveling up my environment. It's a funny thing, isn't it, that the way your environment can reflect your emotional and mental state of mind, and sometimes even I would go so far as to say, as marking phases of life that come and go. This is another purchase that I did in 2020, 2021. Such a lovely, fresh, natural colour that gives you a little bit of pop. I feel that I'm entering a new era in my life, and as a result I want to renew my surroundings. I want to level up my surroundings because I feel that I've entered an era of getting to know myself a little bit better through a more clear and realistic lens. I'm not saying that I've reached enlightenment in any way. I know that there are still so many more layers from my history, from things that have hurt me in the past, ways that my personality has been formed by that, which I still need to go through. But I suppose, depending on how you feel about yourself, you may look around and decide that your environment doesn't really match the way you see yourself or the way you see your world. I've always loved this hairband. I love the colours. It's so classic. Let's just pull a little bit. Sometimes I find that if you've got highlights at the front, they can show quite a big difference between your natural brown and the highlight, and I think sometimes that doesn't look as natural as it could. So I find that I try and pull the hair down there at the side in order to blend that better. I have a particular place, and I wonder whether you do too, a particular place that I visit at least once a year, but I try and go more often. I'd like to think I could go at least twice a year. My particular place is in Somerset. and it's around Glastonbury. There's a particular bookshop on Glastonbury High Street. It sells new and second-hand books, but they're such out of the way books that you could find quite difficult to find somewhere else. And it's really nice because if you go onto Amazon or something, you need to know the title that you're looking for. But this particular bookshop has sections of topics that leads you from one book to the next and gets you to discover things that you never ordinarily will. If you just give me a minute, I'm going to get you that book that I found recently. Oh my goodness, I was waylaid down there because I was looking at what Steve had achieved. Now look at this book. Change Your Story, Change Your Life. And the author is Carl Greer. As I was walking down the road to this bookshop, I just said a little prayer. I said, God, if you've got something for me in this bookshop that's going to help me at this stage of my life and of my development, and I do need help, could you just bring it to the fore in this bookshop? Have any of you ever done that? And actually got a result. I can hear Steve coming upstairs.
Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know what you're thinking.
The idea in this book, it's to transform your life through the power of story. And I have noticed this in my life. Do you have friends like this, or maybe you're like this, maybe your parents were like this, but I have friends who used to speak their reality into existence. They used to constantly, daily talk about things that they wanted to highlight in their life, that they wanted to cement in their life. As an extreme example, I had a friend whose father had passed away several years ago, and she was constantly talking about her father in the present tense, saying, my father always says, and then quoting him, but he was dead. But he wasn't dead to her. He was very much alive in her life, and that was her way of continuing to have him with her all the time. And I noticed this. I wasn't critical of it. I actually admired it. In the same way that perhaps you can relate to a little bit better when I speak, for example, to my children or a friend or something, I tend to speak up what I want to be true. And this isn't the same as sort of fantasizing about what you want to be true that isn't true. It's about taking an element that's already present in your life and expanding on it in order to give it a bigger role in your life, let's say. So it gives you exercises, exploring your current story, writing a new and better story, understanding energies that influence your story. I love that because I found that my story so far, as it has been, is no longer representative of who I am. And it's certainly not representative of who I want to be and the life that I want for myself. So, rather than getting yet another notepad that isn't going to have enough pages or will have too many pages and then I might lose or I might have to store somewhere, I've ordered myself a refurbished iPad from Amazon. I ordered the iPad, the case that has a keyboard in it, the pencil, that it's not Apple but it's like a similar one, and the paper-like screen protector, so that when you write on it, it gives you the feel and the sound of writing on paper, just for those aesthetic reasons that all play into beautifying my life and enjoying what I do, just making the most of whatever experience I'm giving myself. And I'm going to write out my story. Because at 54, midlife, maybe it's something to do with menopause, maybe it's that just encourage you to shed, the mother of all shedding, shed your old story. Because I am not that girl, I'm not that young girl anymore with that thick curly hair, that little Lebanese slim curly haired girl. I'm not a young woman anymore. I'm most certainly well into my middle-aged years. And I have the benefit of hindsight, and I've learned through observation, trial and error, in a way that only time can give you, because things become time tested. I've learned that your life has the potential of becoming and being what you make it. And by make it, there are various things that you can do that are part of the make it action, which are speech, thoughts, choosing thoughts that are more useful to you, and of course action. Often asking yourself, what can I do in this moment that I would never normally do before? Just to loosen that death grip of the past on you. You're not bound by your past as you think you might be. You're only bound by being too afraid to look at your life in another way, in a new way, in a better way. And in fact, as hair wearing goes, my story is always evolving, and it's definitely a new story. I can plainly say I mainly wear hair because I experience alopecia. Other people understand that very clearly. It's very clear. And when I wake up every morning, get ready for going out or going to work, sometimes I think, oh, have I really got to put that topper on? I just want to be free. I don't want to have anything on my head. But then I think to myself, actually my hair loss has gotten to a stage now where it looks awful. And actually, funnily enough, I think it looks better on screen. I see myself in the viewfinder and on other videos. And if you go back several videos, a year or year and a half before, you'll see I definitely had much more hair than I do now. It kind of looks, when I'm looking at the camera face on, it kind of gives it a darkness and a uniformity that it doesn't have. It's very gappy. You can really clearly see the scalp through it. You know, by the time you look at the hair down here, it's kind of ratty and very thin. You couldn't do a style in it. You couldn't curl it. You couldn't color it in such a way as to disguise it. It's evident. It's evident. You cannot hide the fact that the alopecia is really advanced. It's really advanced. When I was trying to explain this to my mother-in-law the first time she saw me in hair, she said, what are you going to do then? Are you going to go to the doctor? What can you do? Is there any supplements that you can take? Is there anything you can put on your scalp? I said to her, look, my hair is under attack from several different sources, and in a way that I no longer have interest in trying to fathom. It's a very complex issue, sometimes even a spiritual issue that is very difficult to get hold of with hair loss and what the cause of hair loss is. You know, we've got hormones, we've got trauma, unresolved issues, we've got strange behaviors, you know, that promotes hair pulling and all sorts of weird things like that. We've got, having had that operation in 2020 and the subsequent hair loss after that. And most importantly, we've got genetic reasons. There are at least two other women in my family who have the same problem. They've passed on, they had the same problem. And I watched them battle with it for a while. I don't have the interest in having thick natural hair. I don't care if I have thick natural hair. This is part of my new story with wearing hair. In 2024, I feel a sense of peace and confidence in the quality of the hair that I'm wearing. There is no anxiety anymore. There used to be anxiety when I first started, and I used to talk about it, and I used to spend half my time saying to my family members, can you see it? Is there something weird? Can you see the lace front? No, I don't do that anymore because I've got that safety net. If somebody says, are you wearing a wig? I say, oh yes, I've got alopecia. End of story. I've made it work for myself. It works for me. And this is good. I'm happy with this. I'm going to go and visit my mother-in-law with Steve in a minute. And I feel that this is not too youthful. It's not the wrong color. It is not too ostentatious or too big or too glam. My goodness, it couldn't not be more natural. Indeed it is natural hair. It's natural hair, low density. It looks great and I'm very happy with it. I can't wait to get my iPad so that I can start writing my old story, and I hope that writing it out several times, and it doesn't have to be page upon page, writing it out several times is going to loosen my attachment to it, and it's going to show me natural entry points into expanding it and changing it. And I really look forward to writing the new story. On my iPad I'll be able to do mood boards, vision boards. I'll be able to have my digital planner, because you know I love the Passion Planner. I've been using it for years, and now I've got loads of planners and nowhere to put them. So all of that can be digital on my iPad. I'll be able to use the Fly Lady system in conjunction with my planner, color code everything. That's why I bought the iPad, is because you can color code everything. And that really helps me set alarms. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm supposed to be receiving it tomorrow, and it seems like an absolute age. I'm going to go back downstairs and I'm going to see what Steve has done. And soon, once he's put those bits in place, before I've painted it and spruced it up and, you know, got the lighting sorted, I want to show you the progress that we're making. And we're making it relatively slowly, but he kind of has to do it in his own spare time, and the guy works really hard. Anyway, I don't want to overload him. I sound like I'm in charge of what DIY he does. I just wanted really to just convey these thoughts. It's December, we've already started December, we're heading towards that New Year's Eve magical night. I never go out on New Year's Eve. That's my night to sit by the fire, think about the new year, meditate, get inspiration, receive whatever downloads I'm going to receive. And this new year, I'm going to be happy with how far I've come, the person that I'm becoming. I've got challenges still, I've got big problems still, and in due course I will share those problems with you, but you can never face those problems if you feel that your hands are tied and you're living in absolute abject fear of the future. That's something I don't want. Until next time. Enjoy your hair.